Hi, everybody. I wanted to answer some questions that have come across lately. My son broke his leg, and we grow a lot of our own medicine around here because I find it works better and it's a little bit more gentle for healing, and also because I can't get this medicine from other places. So, go ahead and sit down. The plant that we're going to be working with tonight is Comfrey, Comfrey. And Comfrey grows wonderfully in Michigan, and it grows pretty great anywhere in the United States as long as you can keep it watered. It does like water, and it does like a lot of sunshine. The leaves end up being broad and wide like this, and they have a really scratchy fur on them, almost like a sharp fur.
It's pretty good.
So there's a couple ways that you can work with Comfrey. You can also work with the roots. I'm going to work with the leaves because I can't really afford to dig my plants up right now. The plant itself will spread, but I've had my plants for probably 6 years now, and they haven't really replicated in my yard. So I'm careful with them. I use the leaves. Both the leaves and the roots contain the active constituents that we need for healing broken and torn things, whether it's tendons, ligaments, bones. The Native Americans do refer to Comfrey as knit bone.
Yep.
So the roots are just a little bit stronger, and they are really slippery. They're like mucusy when you mix them with water. So there's a couple different medicines you can make with this. The first would be making a like a poultice. So if you're going to make a poultice, you just kind of crunch up your dry leaf material. Always dry in the shade. I don't dry out in the full sun because it's kind of harsh on the plant. I dry it in the shade. But so you would just crunch up your dried leaves, add a little bit of water to them, just enough to make a paste, and then you would leave the paste on. I don't do that with Comfrey because it's such a good creator of tissue that it can potentially leave calluses on the skin. So that's why I don't do straight skin applications of Comfrey. I prefer to do a compress. So, assistant, could you please come here and squish this up in the mortar and pestle for me? I'm just going to take a couple leaves. I also balance the Comfrey with some plantain. So Comfrey by itself can be such a good tissue generator that it's almost too much too fast, which is why you never apply it to a puncture wound, because it can heal the skin on top of the wound so quickly that if there's an infection underneath that puncture wound, it could fester and it wouldn't have an escape route. So you need to be able to keep puncture wounds cleaned out. But for other stuff internal, now taking Comfrey internally is best if you do it as a tincture, and you can buy those or you can make your own. But I mix my Comfrey with plantain. Plantain grows everywhere in Michigan. You see these little things that are outside, and rabbits love to chew on these. This is like a really small leaf, but see the striations on it? That's how I always know to look for it. This time of year, I look for that blossoming flower and a smaller leaf, but in the summer, these leaves can be huge. So I dried plantain with my Comfrey. Assistant?
Yep.
Did you mix all these skinny leaves and the wide leaves together? You did? Okay, so can you come over here and I will show. Okay, wait. That's way too much. Okay, way too much. So what we're going to do, you only need a teeny tiny bit. That's what's great about the Comfrey, is if I just took, here's some good dried plantain, 2, 3, and a couple big leaves. Go ahead and smash those up for me if you can. We like using the mortar and pestle. It's a, it's like smashing hammer thing, so it's awesome. I make pre-mixed little 4-ounce Ziploc baggies in case of emergency, or in case somebody calls me in the middle of the night and says, Vicki, I have something shredded, ripped, torn, or broken. Then I try to keep these on hand. Right now, with our broken leg, though, we we are hoarding our Comfrey, and I'm thanking God every day that we had this available, because Comfrey can speed up bone healing by 2/3. So even though he can't get his cast off until October 11th, when the cast comes off, that bone's going to be solid. So while he crunches that up, I'm just going to take a little saucepan, and I'm just going to add some water. You don't want a lot of water. You want just enough to, even less. Okay. You want just enough to cover the Comfrey. You don't want to drown it. Let me see, bud. That looks great. That looks great. And we are going to get the water hot, and I'm just going to put the Comfrey in it. So there's a couple ways that so with a compress you apply it to the skin. So there's a couple ways you can do it. First of all, you can go to the health food store and you can buy wool flannel. This is actually more used for castor oil compresses, where you might have an intestinal issue or another type of infection issue, and you want to use the castor oil as a compress. But we do have some wool flannel. You can just use gauze. So you would just take a couple long strips, cut them, and when your Comfrey is wet and smashed up, and it looks like a clump of grass, wet grass, you just take a good handful of it, put it in the wet gauze, wrap it up just twice, because you actually do want this touching the leg, but I don't, like I said, I don't put a straight application on it, so just once or twice wrap the gauze around it, and then you apply it. So with Clayton's leg, it's actually broken at the bottom, but I'm going to apply it at the hip. It's good enough. Trust me, it's close enough. And his hip was a little bit sore today, so I have a feeling he might be pulling on his hip a little bit. And he's starting to get sore. So once the water boils, I'm just going to shut it off. Then once it stops being so stressed from the boiling, I'm going to put the Comfrey in. What I like to use for my compresses is these cotton bags. And it's just 100% cotton. They're good for, they're 3x5. They're good for teas. You can make your own teas. They're good for cooking. If you just wanted to put some herbs in a bag, you can wash these and reuse these a million times. So one thing that's also nice to do is once you boil your Comfrey and it's a wet green blob and you kind of pad out some of the water, you can fill these up and you can freeze them. So you could make these ahead of time already pre-boiled. And I leave my Comfrey on the stove sometimes. I just take out what I need, put it in the bag, put it on the bone, let it sit for a while, and then I'll just leave my water with the rest of the plant material on the stove. It's good for 24 hours. So just warm it back up. You want warm. Do not ever put ice on an injury. I don't care what your doctor says. My doctor is from Michigan State University, and he's an osteopathic manipulative medicine doctor. So he actually, when I tore my shoulder last year, had to re-injure my shoulder because the inflammation brings in the extra red blood cells, it brings in the extra platelets, it brings in the extra circulation, everything in it in the blood that you need for healing. So when you get hurt and you swell up, that's a good thing because it's there for, body doesn't do anything that isn't for a reason because it's only designed to function for that reason. So I'm going to go ahead and dump my Comfrey in my stove. Now, the other thing that's really, really important that I forgot to tell you is once you get it in the water, I'm going to just get it in there and get it wet a little bit. There we go. And it smells like tea. And go ahead, yeah, can you put the lid on? Now, we're going to leave it there for... It should stay there for 10 or 15 minutes. I'm not going to keep you on that long. And I have tons of Comfrey, so it's okay. I'm just going to speed it up a little bit. So do not ice an injury. You can ice it several days later, but the first few days you need it warm. You want to bring in the circulation. I have used ice before, and it was to my detriment because they had to actually go in with prolotherapy and re-injure my shoulder so that it could heal itself. And the number one thing they tell you is do not touch Advil and do not touch ice. So these are expert doctors in how the body moves and how it heals. I love my OMM doctors. I don't know what I would do without them because I can't see a chiropractor. So when I need to get adjusted, I just go to OMM. Okay, so here's what this looks like now. Ew. And you have a couple options. You can, okay, so assistant, could you do me a favor?
Yes, ma'am.
And open up one of those bags right there. See that that bag? I have a slotted spoon. Do you see that bag right there? Could you hold that open for me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's gonna drip, and that's okay. Because our job is to just get some of this plant material. And again, it should steep for 10 or 15 minutes, but we're speeding it up here. Hold it over the stove because I'm probably going to drip on you. Sorry, dude. Okay, could you hold the phone for me? Hold it and point it. There we go. Okay, so here, straighten it just a little bit. Here's my goop, which is fine. And again, you can wrap it in gauze. Gauze is actually really easy to work with. You can make several of these goops and throw them in the freezer. I'm just going to put these right here in the tea bag. And when I'm done, there's one other thing I'm going to do. Okay, so the tea bag is mostly filled with goop. It's not a lot. Normally I'd fill it up until it's, really, really full. And this is going to get wet, but that's okay. Remember that water has a lot of healing properties. So go ahead and sit down, Clay. Okay, my tea bag is pretty wet. Don't laugh at that word. Okay, so this is nice and warm. I'm going to blow it off just a little bit because go ahead and lift your shorts all the way up on that side. Okay. See his leg? It's broken right here, but you told me that's too warm, but okay.
Okay.
Is that too warm?
I can live with it.
You can live with it? Okay. Then I'm going to take a towel, and I'm going to just sort of drape it over so I can insulate some of that heat. Now, you don't want to burn the skin, but you want to leave it there for a little while and just let it sit. The other thing you can do, which is great, I mean, save all of it that you can, right? Actually, I'm going to switch that out. Is it too warm?
Yeah, way too hot.
Actually, feel it now. Here. There you go. Is that better?
Yeah.
Perfect. And he's going to put just the towel wrap on top of it to kind of hold it in. Now you can, and I've done this before because I had a foot fracture, you can put the compress on top, and then I put a rubber, like a hair tie around it, and I tied it, and then I put a towel on top of that, and I went to bed and I slept with it on there. But take your rag look at your tea water. See that tea water? That still has medicine in it. That still has wonderful medicine in it. So dip your rag in it. And you might get some herbs on your towel. That's fine. No big deal. Remember, this heat not only has the healing medicine of comfrey and plantain, it has heat. So, sore neck, sore back. I mean, I literally tore bad my shoulder last, squeeze it out, and it smells like tea, last October. And, like I was saying, I had to get prolotherapy on it, but I did do some compresses with Comfrey. And my OMM doctor told me, for sure if I give you an MRI, they're going to do surgery. I was like, I am not doing surgery. So some Comfrey really helped. The other thing that you can get is Comfrey tincture. This is in tincture form. It's sold by Herb Farm, PHARM. Take according to the bottle. It's great. And there's one other thing you can put these Comfrey hot water packs on your belly for people who have leaky gut, because Comfrey knits. It fills in the holes. It fills in the breaks. And this is great for people with leaky gut, or somebody has an ulcer. Just put it right on the belly. Also, broken bones. With Clayton, I have used arnica. Nope, I don't think it's in here. Homeopathy works really good for musculoskeletal issues as well. I don't see the one in here. It must be in my other kit. Homeopathy home kits are a lifesaver too. So the only oils we've used are Valor and frankincense. I didn't want to use a lot of anti-inflammatory oils right away because we want the inflammation. And what else have we done? Calcium, the Super Cal Plus from Young Living. Sulfurzyme, he's on 4 sulfurzyme a day. And he's on some other herbs. And that is how you make a compress with your Comfrey. So please grow it. If not for you, trust me, the minute you start growing medicinal plants, people who need medicine will come to you. I hope this helps you. I hope it answers some questions that I've gotten lately. And what do you say about it? How does your leg feel?
I mean, it feels pretty good. It feels good. It feels sore because my leg's not up, but other than that, this is really helping. I can feel it right now.
Feels good, doesn't it? Nice and warm.
Feels warm. It just feels like secure. I mean, it's secure inside my cast. Just the oil just makes it feel
the Comfrey
better.
Yeah, and the Valor's been really helpful too because it was kind of a traumatic experience how he broke it. So not only is Valor great for courage, it's good for his bones too. So we got lucky. Thank you for joining us. This feels so good on my shoulder. I never want to take it off.
Thank you.
Yay! Plant medicine works every time.
I need to do